R.M.S. Titanic was called the Ship of Dreams, and some called her the Unsinkable Ship. It was the largest steam engine ever built in the world. She was the most beautiful and biggest ship ever to set sail to the sea. In the summer of 1907, Lord Pierre, Harland and Wolff, J. Bruce Ismay, and the White Star Liner planned to build three giant ships: Olympic, Titanic, and Britannic. They were to be designed as the most luxurious ships in the world and to be built with the finest woods and furnishings. They would cater to the rich and affluent that traveled to the North Atlantic. The three ships would give customers luxury and they would travel at greater speeds than ever before. In March 1909, the keel was laid down for yard number 401, where the Titanic would be built. It took 2 years to complete the construction of the ship and cost approximately 75 lakh US dollars. She was 882.9 feet long, 92.6 feet wide, and weighed a whopping 46,329 tons. Titanic was the largest ship ever to be built by man. 22 tons of tallow, soap, and train oil were used to grease the slipway bed to coat and protect it against the enormous 3 tons per square inch pressure of the freshly painted hull. In January of 1912, 16 lifeboats were installed, which later became a total of 20 lifeboats in all. There were three different types of lifeboats on Titanic: 14 wooden lifeboats, 2 woodcutters, and 4 Engelhardt collapsible boats. The capacity of the 20 lifeboats total was 1,178, which would not save all the passenger ships if it were fully loaded, which was 3,547 passengers. In addition to the lifeboats, the Titanic carried 3,560 life jackets and 49 buoys. The Titanic is unsinkable was a thought that ran through many people's heads as they heard the news that it had been struck with an iceberg. They believed it couldn't sink because the Titanic was so big and strong that nothing in the world could take it down. Whenever people today think of the Titanic, we think of how it sank and how many people lost their lives, which is an example of the dramatic irony in itself. We know the devastating end of the Titanic, yet most of the people in this story did not. Dramatic irony occurred vaguely in this account. However, it all depends on how much knowledge you have of the disaster. Already knowing the ship sinks in a dramatic irony that is shown by just reading the title. If you have any further knowledge, you may come upon a dramatic irony such as: it is said in the story that the band was playing ragtime during all the drama on the ship. This is a dramatic irony because we know that the ship is going to sink and they should be taking care of themselves before the White Star Liner goes down rather than standing there playing their ragtime for the people walking by. Another example with R.M.S. Titanic is the fact that life preservers are tied on. Some men smile at the precaution. Most readers know that life preservers are not a silly precaution, but something that might save them from the horrible risk that they will face later on in the night. One para in the account reads: but the passengers, most of them did not know the Titanic was sinking. The shock of the collision had been so slight that some of them were not awakened by it. The Titanic was so huge that she must be unsinkable. The night was too calm, too beautiful to think of death at sea. This clearly describes the ignorance of the innocent, people who placed their trust on the words they heard. The R.M.S. Titanic by Hanson W. Baldwin is a story using irony to immensely interest the reader. Hanson did not veer from how the Titanic actually sunk. It struck an iceberg.